all of a sudden, it's not like we're up 12 votes and we have 60% left. We won states, and all of a sudden, I said, what happened to the election? It's off. And we have all these announcers saying, what happened? And then they said, oh, because you know what happened? They knew they couldn't win. So they said, let's go to court. And did I predict this, Newt? Did I say this? I've been saying this from the day I heard they were going to send out tens of millions of ballots. I said exactly, because either they were going to win, or if they didn't win, they'll take us to court. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list, okay?
I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have.
This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Well, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this from a president of the United States. And I think, as Jake said, it's sad and it is truly pathetic. And of course, it is dangerous. And of course, it will go to courts. But you'll notice the president did not have any evidence.
Special report.
Can now project that former Vice President Joe Biden will win Pennsylvania and Nevada, putting him over the 270 electoral votes he needs to become the 46th president of the United States.
Who was it called by? Oh my goodness, all the networks. Wow. All the networks.
As I mentioned, we are not prepared to give that number now.
The Biden crime family stealing the election! The media's covering it up! The Biden crime family stealing this election! The media's covering it up!
This is globalist overthrowing our government. We better have the military stop the globalist.
Well, have them at least do this. Have them go and secure the data and secure the facilities and suppress the deep state who are inside.
No, you're right. They're so scared this former special operations commander has been hired for just this mission. I think they're listening to you, Stuart. I think this is happening.
Be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. Right? We're ready.
So, but I'm glad to see it happening, and we're there to support it. So what we're doing is we have men already stationed outside D.C. as a nuclear option in case they attempt to remove the president illegally. We will step in and stop it.
The president has seen a mountain of evidence that there was fraud committed in over 10 different states now. 3 or 4 of them, it's substantial. It takes a little while to gather it, but we're about to file suit in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, for the entire state.
President Trump fired his defense secretary today. No lame duck president has ever done such a thing.
Barr's action will allow attorneys to work around Justice Department policy that would normally prohibit investigations before the election has been certified.
This is documented on videotape. There are upwards of 50 witnesses, and this will be the subject of a lawsuit that we file tomorrow for violating civil rights.
I believe that they tried to steal the election.
Stop the Steal may appear as a grassroots uprising, but it started more than 4 years ago. The brainchild of a political dirty trick artist and convicted liar who has pushed disinformation schemes for years. Roger Stone.
Stop the Steal is posting much of this material.
Get him!
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for coming. This is representative of our legal team. We're representing President Trump, and we're representing the Trump campaign. And this is a disgraceful thing that was done in this country. Probably not much more disgraceful than the things these people did in office, which you didn't and don't bother to cover, and you conceal from the American people.
Everyone must go to the capital of Georgia now, and you must surround the governor's mansion now. I'm coming. I'll be there. And I'm bringing Roger Stone, and I'm bringing a bunch of other people. That's what I'm doing behind the scenes. And I'm calling the damn White House, and I'm telling Trump he needs to go and get on a frickin' airplane and land at the capital of Georgia and go into the governor's mansion.
We want every legal vote to be counted, and we want every illegal vote to be...
I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging the other side as welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting. Unless she has more details to back that up, I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up, but that's an explosive charge to make.
President Trump's hopes of overturning vote totals in this election suffered a major setback in the state of Georgia. After a 6-day recount by hand, a statewide audit has confirmed President Trump lost narrowly to President-elect Joe Biden.
It wasn't true. It was thousands and thousands of ballots. And the ballots were in garbage cans. They were in paper bags. They were in cardboard boxes. And they were taken into the center. They were put on a number of tables. At that time, they thought all the Republican inspectors had left. All but 2 had. And an employee of Dominion.
What we are really dealing with here and uncovering more by the day is the massive influence of communist money through Venezuela, Cuba, and likely China in the interference with our elections here in the United States.
Calling it sedition. Sedition? Ladies and gentlemen, this is serious. Sedition is punishable by decades in prison, possibly death.
It's been organized and conducted with the help of Silicon Valley people, the big tech companies, the social media companies, and even the media companies. And I'm going to release the Kraken.
New tonight, a federal judge says he won't stop Pennsylvania from certifying its election results. District Judge Matthew Brand dismissed the suit brought by the Trump campaign.
If you're watching Newsmax TV or One America News, you are hearing lies that President Trump is going to win a second term.
Trump won the election. He'll win the recount. He'll win in court.
Right now, Joe Biden is pretending to be the president-elect.
Where'd you get your news from?
OAN, baby.
OAN?
They're a lot more honest than you. Even Fox News is crooked.
Well, Robin, simply put, Trump wants Republican-controlled state legislatures in key swing states to ignore the fact that voters picked Joe Biden and instead appoint a new slate of electors to the Electoral College. Remember, it's those electors who ultimately go on to pick the president.
It's inconceivable. You would think if you're in the FBI or Department of Justice, this is the biggest thing you could be looking at. Where are they? I've not seen anything. I mean, they just keep moving along, and they go on to the next president.
I don't want to overplay the facts here, but if someone will study the president's authority in the Insurrection Act and in his ability to impose martial law, if there's widespread treaty, he will have the authority to arrest Zuckerberg, to arrest Tim Cook, to arrest the Clintons, to arrest anybody else who can be proven to be involved in illegal activity. I do not advocate preventive detention, but people who commit crimes, I think they can continue to get away with it because we have two-tier justice, are just wrong.
Joining us tonight by phone on the pardon of General Michael Flynn is his defense attorney, Sidney Powell. Great American she is, and this has got to be a special day for you, Sidney, and certainly for the general and his family.
The entire election, frankly, in all the swing states should be overturned, and the legislatures should make sure that the electors are selected for Trump, and it's going to have to follow the constitutional provisions that it be decided. according to the amendment. It's just
let's turn it to Smartmatic and.
Oh my God! There you go.
President's statements are false. They're disinformation. They are stoking anger and fear among his supporters. And hell, I voted for him.
This election, I will say, these Democrats took every avenue possible to commit fraud in this election.
I've heard no mention of any pardons in any conversations I've had in the White House.
The mail-in voting scam is the latest part of their 4-year effort to overturn the results of the 2016 election. And it's been like living in hell.
Attorney General William Barr telling the Associated Press that the Justice Department has not uncovered widespread voting fraud that could have changed the 2020 election outcome. So let's get Chief White House Correspondent John Roberts live on the North Lawn.
My life has been completely destroyed because of this. I've lost family, I've lost friends, I've been threatened, my kids have been threatened, I've had to move, I've had to change my phone number, I've had to get rid of social media.
No hearing on Friday because you say you want to stay that hearing. No hearing on this case, and if there's any delay, that's on you, not on the court. Why is all that important? Because the slate of electors has to be confirmed by December 14th. They meet at the state capitol to vote. By December 8th, the state has to be basically done.
Nobody wants to come forward. They're getting threatened. Their lives are getting ruined. I can't even get an actual job anymore. I can't. Because Democrats like to ruin your lives. That's why.
All right.
There was a Stop the Steal rally in Alpharetta today, spurred by unproven claims of fraud in Georgia's election. The state, led by Republicans, has repeatedly said there is no evidence of any widespread fraud. And the Secretary of State's office says these claims need to stop, saying the conspiracies and false information have led to threats against election workers.
Like I said, I wish my guy would have won. And it looks like he's not. And it looks like he doesn't have enough votes to prevail.
Someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to get shot, someone's going to get killed. And it's not right. It has all gone too far.
The situation we're in is a situation of treason. There's only one thing in the Constitution that it states about treason. There's only one punishment for treason in our Constitution. One. And it is in our Constitution. The punishment for treason is death.
So I was one of the electors, right? I'm not in charge of the electors, so you would need.
How did you hear about it?
You would need to ask the party chair.
How did you hear about the claim? Were you just told to be somewhere?
You would need to ask the party chair that question.
Right, but you're the person who received the call. You showed up, right? How did you know to show up that day?
So as I said, you can go ahead and ask the party chair the logistics of it.
Ask her how you got a phone call to go somewhere?
You're welcome to talk to them about
Do you not know how you arrived at a place?
Thank you. I appreciate your question.
Do you really not know how you got a call?
Have a great one.
The story of Republicans appearing to have forged fake documents after the 2020 election, putting themselves forward officially as if they were the real electors from their states, when in fact they were not.
Supporters of President Trump are continuing to fight for 4 more years, storming the nation's capital to participate in dueling rallies.
Show the world who the traitors are, and then use the Insurrection Act to drop the hammer on them. He needs to know from you that you are with him, that he does not do it now while he is commander-in-chief. We're going to have to do it ourselves later in a much more desperate, much more bloody war. Let's get it on now while he is still the commander-in-chief.
Saturday, strategic advisor of the Trump campaign Boris Epshteyn and Stop the Steal co-founder Kylie Jane Kremer spoke with OAN to discuss their efforts. Epshteyn says the campaign will continue efforts to challenge the election results through January 6th, when Congress is expected to count and certify electors' votes.
Republicans forged these documents. They submitted them, we believe, both to Congress and to the National Archives to try to pass them off as the real deal. In each of the 5 states that we've been able to find the documents from, in Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona, Republicans filed these fake forged documents claiming that those states had actually picked Trump electors who were casting the state's electoral college votes for Trump.
Top campaign lawyer Rudy Giuliani and President Trump, who vowed to not back down from their legal challenges.
Well, anybody with a Twitter account knows that the president's continuing to fight.
Kremer spoke on the immense success of the Stop the Steal rallies held across the nation in several key battleground states. The rallies began as a series of bus tours which started in Florida and ended in Washington, D.C. to meet up with supporters from the Jericho March. Several special guests made appearances at the events, including National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and President Trump by Marine One.
Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil.
There are several facts our viewers and readers should be aware of. Newsmax has found no evidence that either Dominion or Smartmatic owns the other or has any business association with each other.
He could order within the swing states, if he wanted to, he could take military capabilities and he could place them in those states and basically rerun an election in each of those states. I mean, it's not unprecedented. I mean, these people out there talking about martial law, it's like it's something that we've never done. Martial law has been instituted 64 times.
No evidence has been offered that Dominion or Smartmatic used software or reprogrammed software that manipulated votes in the 2020 election.
Who worked with Congressman Mo Brooks to whip up votes in the House? Congressman Paul Gosar to whip up votes in the House. Congressman Andy Biggs to not only whip up votes in the House, but also let me know who the soft senators were because he briefed them in the steering committee. Boom. I'm going to talk to the Proud Boys, I'm going to talk to the Oath Keepers, and I'm going to try to get patrols going.
Dominion has stated the company has no ownership relationship with the Pelosi family, the Feinstein family, the Clinton family, Hugo Chavez, or the government of Venezuela. Neither Dominion nor Smartmatic has any relationship with George Soros.
I see no basis now for seizing machines by the federal government.
Do you believe there's enough evidence to warrant a special counsel to investigate that, perhaps Sidney Powell or someone else?
Well, if I thought a special counsel at this stage was the right tool and was appropriate, I would name one, but I haven't, and I'm not going to.
The president, nonetheless, during this meeting, apparently was talking about potentially naming Sidney Powell as a special counsel within the government to investigate voter fraud in the 2020 election.
Smartmatic has stated that its software was only used in the 2020 election in Los Angeles, was not used in any battleground state contested by the Trump campaign.
I don't know of a darker, more demented meeting that he's held. This was a 4-hour meeting that started in the Oval Office the evening of December the 18th, and it rolled into Trump's private residence up to his living room. And they were pushing the president to use the U.S. military to go around the country seizing Dominion voting machines. They were pushing to invoke the National Emergencies Act and use a 2018 executive order to try and overturn a free and fair election.
Smartmatic is a U.S. company and not owned by the Venezuelan government, Hugo Chavez, or any foreign official or entity.
Majority Leader, the constitutional process has not been exhausted. We have January 6th. And so I would like for the GOP senators to join Congressman Mo Brooks. We're here to break news that we're doing our own whip count. We have 7 members of the House in the Republican caucus that are willing to stand with Mo Brooks so far. They are currently circulating the letter. We are targeting over 100 of them that signed on to the amicus brief in the Texas case.
Any member can object. And if a U.S. senator seconds that objection, then there have to be hearings in which the evidence of fraud can be produced for the American people.
We're working with members of Congress while other people are trying to showboat. We're really working hard because, look, I believe that the president should do something brave. I think that the vice president should do something brave. I believe that that's how we
maintain the White House. And I believe that we need to maintain the White House. I think it's a moral imperative.
The Oath Keepers began planning to block the peaceful transfer of power shortly after the November 3rd election. According to the Department of Justice, Stuart Rhodes, the Oath Keepers leader, said to his followers that we were not going to get through this without a civil war.
You better get your ass to D.C., folks, this Saturday.
Yeah, if you don't, there'll be no more republic. But we're not going to let that happen. It's not even an if. It's either President Trump is encouraged and bolstered and strengthened to do what he must do, or we wind up in a bloody fight. We all know that. The fight's coming.
On December 19th, President Trump tweeted about the January 6th rally and told attendees, "Be there, we'll be wild."
I was the person who came up with the January 6th idea.
A day later, the Department of Justice describes how the Proud Boys created a chat called the Ministry of Self-Defense Leadership Chat. In this chat, the Proud Boys established a command structure in anticipation of coming back to D.C. on January 6th. The Department of Justice describes Mr. Tarrio coming into possession of a document called the 1776 Returns, which describes individuals occupying key buildings around the United States Capitol. In response to the December 19th, 2020 tweet by President Trump, the Oath Keepers focused on January 6th in Washington, D.C. In response to the tweet, one member, the president of the Florida chapter, put on social media, "The president called us to the Capitol. He wants us to make it wild."
People thought he was an incredible intelligence officer, and he was the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency before he was essentially fired. And to watch someone who served and had this reputation and is known by a lot of people that work with him go on the trajectory he has, where he was essentially an unpaid agent of a foreign government, the Turkish government, which he did not disclose, and now, idly talking about martial law, it's a very unnerving trajectory.
So in my view, he's a disgrace to his uniform.
President Trump delivering an early Christmas surprise overnight, pardoning more than 24 people, including some key political allies. Former campaign chairman Paul Manafort pled guilty to financial fraud and then lying to investigators. Longtime political advisor Roger Stone convicted of lying to Congress, witness tampering, and obstructing a House inquiry. And Charles Kushner, the father of Mr. Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner.
Newly released emails show how intensely Trump and his allies pressured the Justice Department to challenge the 2020 election results, and how then acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen resisted that pressure in the final weeks of the Trump administration. In one instance, Trump's chief of staff at the time, Mark Meadows, tried to have Rosen arrange an FBI meeting with a Rudy Giuliani ally who claimed Italy was using military technology and satellites to somehow change votes in favor of President Biden.
The Justice Department's top leaders listened in stunned silence this month. One of their peers, they were told, had devised a plan with President Donald J. Trump to oust Jeffrey A. Rosen as the acting Attorney General and wield the department's power to force Georgia state lawmakers to overturn its presidential election results.
The man who worked as police commissioner in New York City under then Mayor Rudy Giuliani, a man named Bernie Kerik, who really did lead New York City police until he himself pled guilty to 8 felonies and served years in federal prison. He has produced what Politico today describes as a, quote, trove of documents to the investigation. A trove of documents that includes this 22-page strategic communications plan that's dated December 27th. You see the subhead there in red. We have 10 days to execute this plan and certify President Trump.
Sometimes I go and look myself online when stuff comes up. This time I didn't have the time to do it. It's not my job in a fast-moving case to go out and investigate every piece of evidence that's given to me. Otherwise, you're never going to write a story. You never come to a conclusion.